St. Petersburg's Palace Square bustles with life on a summer day in July 1914. Newsboys hawk papers, their cries echoing with the grim news of the Sarajevo assassination. Crowds gather, their faces etched with concern as they debate the event's implications. A palpable sense of unease settles over the square, a shadow looming over the bright day. In the opulent Winter Palace, Tsar Nicholas II sits, troubled by the escalating crisis conveyed in the telegrams before him. The rustling of paper cuts through the silent study, amplifying the tension as the Tsar reviews grim reports. Stern military leaders and anxious diplomats surround him, their faces reflecting the gravity of the unfolding events. Adorned with gold leaf, the room is heavy with silent anticipation, all eyes awaiting the Tsar's command. Inside the Russian HQ, generals huddle over maps, faces grim, debating mobilization. Tension fills the room. Heated arguments ignite as plans are scrutinized. Voices rise, clashing over deployment speeds. The air crackles with urgency, a storm of strategic discord brewing among the leaders. Each gesture, each word, carries the weight of a nation on the brink. The room buzzes with the frenetic energy of a hive, each general lost in thought. The fate of Russia hangs heavy in the balance. Decisions made in chaos. Sunlight floods the Serbian village as villagers gather, their expressions radiant with patriotic emotion. A sea of faces reflects hope and gratitude, their eyes bright with unwavering loyalty. Glasses are raised high, catching the sunlight in a dazzling display of unity. The air vibrates with fervent chatter, a symphony of heartfelt appreciation echoing through the village. To Tsar Nicholas II, may Russia forever stand with Serbia. The toast resonates with powerful emotion. Inside the Austrian Foreign Ministry, diplomats gather, tension palpable around the mahogany table. They meticulously draft an ultimatum, each word dripping with calculated aggression. Sweat beads on their foreheads as they anticipate the looming shadow of Russian intervention. Sunlight streams through the tall windows, illuminating the gravity of their actions. The fate of nations hangs in the balance, sealed within the harsh words of the ultimatum. A silent agreement passes among them. A war is coming, and they are its architects. Inside the German chancellery, Kaiser Wilhelm II presides over a tense assembly, the fate of Europe hanging in the balance. Gentlemen, the situation in the East is deteriorating rapidly. Russia's mobilization cannot be ignored, Wilhelm declares. Your Majesty, a strong response is necessary, an advisor urges, the gravity of the moment etched on his face. Wilhelm hardens, decreeing, "We will issue an ultimatum. It is their only chance to avoid full-scale war." In his opulent study, Tsar Nicholas II feels the crushing weight of a nation's fate upon his shoulders. A tempest of doubt clouds his brow as he contemplates the mobilization order. A decision fraught with peril, tormented. The Tsar is torn between his loyalty to Serbia and the looming specter of devastating war. His gaze drifts towards a framed family portrait, a silent, desperate plea for guidance. The opulent room traps him as he wrestles with a choice that could shatter his empire. Torches blaze, casting shadows on St. Petersburg's streets, where a sea of protesters demands action. A cacophony erupts, voices united against Austria-Hungary in the night's charged atmosphere. Police lines struggle, dark uniforms stark against the protesters' fervent faces in the torchlight. Grim determination hardens the police's resolve as they try to contain the surging, impassioned crowd. In the Russian Foreign Ministry, diplomats gather around a mahogany table, tension permeating the room. A stern official's voice cuts through the silence as he reads Austria's ultimatum to Serbia. Beads of sweat glisten on foreheads, reflecting the gravity of the unfolding crisis. Worried glances are exchanged, each diplomat aware of the impossible demands. The weight of impending war settles heavily as they realize Serbia cannot accept. The air grows thicker with the unspoken dread of the inevitable conflict. In the Tsar's study, Nicholas II sits at his desk, sunlight barely piercing the frosted windows. A weighty document lies before him, mirroring the burden etched on his face. He picks up a pen, hesitates, then signs the order for partial mobilization. He hopes this will deter Austria-Hungary without provoking Germany, the narration says. Sunlight floods the German embassy, illuminating the lavish room and the dust motes swirling in the tense air. The German ambassador stands stern, his face a mask of resolve in the face of looming crisis. Across from him, the Russian foreign minister remains impassive, a silent force amidst the gathering storm. "I demand Russia halt its mobilization immediately," the ambassador declares, his voice echoing in the Grand Hall. Unspoken threats hang heavy, the fate of nations balanced on the edge of a whispered word. Inside the HQ, news arrives, igniting a storm of heated debate among the stern-faced Russian generals. Their voices echo through the hall, a cacophony of disbelief and defiance in face of the German warning. Dismissive gestures slice through the air as they confidently call Germany's bluff. A collective resolve hardens, their expressions set in stone, dismissing any possibility of surrender. Under a vast, gray sky, a snow-dusted plain stretches, the cold wind biting at exposed skin. Peasants in rough uniforms stand stoically, their faces etched with a shared, unspoken dread. Wives and children cling to the men, their tears freezing on their cheeks, the air thick with sorrow. The scent of pine hangs heavy, a stark contrast to the palpable weight of uncertainty. Hushed goodbyes are whispered, each word a fragile promise against the looming unknown. A collective gaze stares into the distance, where the horizon blurs with the promise of war. Tsar Nicholas II sits beneath dim light in his study, worry etched on his face. Shadows stretch across ancestral portraits as the Tsar clutches a telegram. A personal telegram arrives from Kaiser Wilhelm II, narration indicates. They exchange pleas for peace, narration continues, but the momentum towards war is unstoppable. In the Grand Hall, the German ambassador's ultimatum echoes, demanding Russia's demobilization within a mere 12 hours. The Russian foreign minister sits at his ornate desk, his face a mask of disbelief and shock at the ambassador's words. The demand for immediate demobilization hangs heavy, a thunderclap in the otherwise stately ministry. The ornate hall now feels like a cage, each gilded detail a stark reminder of Russia's precarious position. Inside the Tsar's study, ornate luxury clashes with palpable tension. Tsar Nicholas II's, his face a mask of deep concern. Advisors surround him, their expressions mirroring anxiety. The air is thick with unspoken worries and grim resolve. The fate of Russia hangs heavy within these gilded walls. Inside the Russian General Staff HQ, generals gather, their uniforms sharp against the backdrop of maps and tense silence. Faces grim, concern etched deep, they stand around the war table, a storm brewing beneath their stoic exteriors. The air crackles with unspoken fears as they confront a dire strategic impasse, each decision heavy with consequence. Demobilization is impossible, one general declares, the words echoing the collective resolve and desperation. Another voice rises, defiant. "We must consider the consequences of backing down now," fueling the heated debate. The weight of Russia's fate rests heavily in this room, each man grappling with the immense responsibility before them. Petersburg streets pulse with patriotic fervor, a sea of waving flags filling every corner of the eye. The air vibrates with fervent chants, slogans echoing off grand buildings, each word a spark in the feverish crowd. Banners ripple like flames, their colors bold against the sky, fueling the intense atmosphere of the demonstration. Faces flushed with zeal, voices raised in unison, the crowd moves as one, a powerful force unleashed on the city. The very stones of Street Petersburg seem to resonate with the energy of the demonstration, history unfolding in real time. A palpable sense of destiny hangs in the air, the crowd's collective will shaping the future with every shout and step. In his opulent study, Tsar Nicholas II sits beneath a solitary lamp, shadows painting the room with dread. His face is a canvas of anguish, the weight of Russia heavy on his brow. He makes the agonizing choice to reject the German ultimatum, defying fate. The die is cast. He embraces war, a storm gathering in his eyes. Inside the German chancellery, Kaiser Wilhelm II stands firm as a messenger bursts in, eyes wide with dread. The messenger presents a telegram. Wilhelm reads of Russia's defiance, news of Russia's rejection. Wilhelm's face hardens, his jaw tightens as the weight of decision settles upon him. His voice resonates with grim resolve, sealing fate. "Declare war," Kaiser Wilhelm II commands. In the Russian Foreign Ministry, sunlight reveals dust as the German ambassador declares war, his face an impassive mask. The declaration echoes in the Grand Hall, a stark contrast to the serene morning light. Behind a large mahogany desk, the Russian foreign minister receives the declaration with grim resignation. His shoulders slump slightly, the weight of the news pressing down on him. He stares blankly at the document, the future of Russia hanging heavy in the air. In Palace Square, the Tsar appears on the Winter Palace balcony, commanding immediate attention and respect. A hush descends as the Tsar raises his hands, a signal for silence before the impending declaration. His voice booms across the square, declaring, "Russia is at war with Germany." The Tsar's pronouncement echoes through the square, a pivotal moment hanging in the air. A wave of cheers erupts, engulfing the square as the crowd responds to the Tsar's declaration with fervor. The crowd's roar resonates, mirroring the volatile mix of anticipation and patriotic zeal. Inside the Tsar's study, the silence is heavy with unspoken worries. The Grand Winter Palace, a cold comfort. Tsar Nicholas II sits alone, his face etched with concern as the weight of the war bears down on him. The Grand Study, a place of power, now feels like a gilded cage, reflecting Russia's uncertain future. Shadows lengthen across the room, mirroring the growing darkness and challenges facing the Tsar. His gaze is distant, contemplating the difficult struggle ahead, the fate of Russia resting on his shoulders. The opulence of the palace contrasts sharply with the grim reality of the war, a stark reminder of duty. Under a gray sky, Russian troops march towards the German border, their faces a mix of resolve and fear. A sea of soldiers advances, each step echoing the weight of the looming conflict. The border looms ahead, a stark line drawn in the earth, beyond which lies uncertainty and war. A young soldier clutches a photo, his eyes reflecting a silent prayer amidst the march. Sunlight streams into the French presidential office, illuminating President Poincaré's imposing desk. Aides burst into the room, their grim faces foretelling grave news. Poincaré listens, his expression growing sterner with each urgent report. The weight of the unfolding crisis visibly settles upon the president's shoulders. His eyes hardening with resolve, he declares, "France will stand by its ally. We will not abandon Russia in this hour of need." Poincaré states, his voice resolute.